Welcome to the Paisans podcast. We're your hosts, the brothers from other mothers, Dante, Dave, and Sark. Join us as we talk about current events, our wives, kids, or whatever else life is throwing at us this week. With the Paisans, you're with family.
So, Dave, I was watching your trip closely over the course of the last week and a half through Instagram. Can you remind me what did you end up in Sicily and then leave from Sicily? I don't think that's where you started, right?
So we flew into Rome, took a train up to Florence, which was like, I did not realize, but it was like almost a 3-hour train ride from Rome to Florence. So that was quite a long travel day, but we got into Florence, I don't know, I guess like afternoonish, like mid-afternoon, Italy time, which is 6 hours ahead of us on the East Coast. So I don't want to say it was about maybe like 4, maybe like 5 o'clock. We just kind of, powered through because we left the night before. It was like,
yeah. So you're exhausted. You're up like 20 hours at that point.
I did not sleep on the plane. I usually can sleep a little bit on the plane, but it was not happening on this flight for whatever reason. And we even were in what's it called? Not premium economy, but economy plus. So there's a little more legroom. I don't know. It didn't help at all, honestly. We were in that front row, so you'd think there's actually more room, which I think there was, but there wasn't a footrest or anything. I just couldn't get comfortable. And then when I finally had my eyes closed for a little bit, a flight attendant woke me up because she needed me to close one of the overhead compartments. It's like, it was so ridiculous. I was just like, it was like, she like woke me up. I was like asleep. I was like startled, woken up. And she's like, can you close that? And I was like, why can't you close that? Like, I was just sitting there, I was like so confused. Like, why am I doing?
Why can't she close it? Why? She doesn't want to touch your bag?
It wasn't even my stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like, we had a couple instances with that one flight attendant where like, what? How did this lady get this job? Whatever. It's a whole different thing. Like, she wasn't really she wasn't a great flight attendant at all. But so didn't really sleep.
Was she maybe worried about leaning
maybe
over you? I mean,
maybe she's not
big chested,
honestly. So we just kind of powered through Florence, but our hotel was kind of in the really nice hotel in the middle of Florence. So Mike, I know you've never been, but Dante, I think you went to Florence if I'm not mistaken, right? And so Florence is a really cool city. It's not overly big. It's walkable, so we were like right in the middle of everything, which was great. So we kind of like put our stuff down, got a drink at the hotel because they had like free little champagne during happy hour, so we kind of just like chilled there for a second, and then we just started walking around. We got dinner, and then just kind of Danielle and my wife she did all the research and she knows everything, right? So she had found this restaurant that was really great. I mean, the food in Florence is unbelievable. Just like top notch. Everything is just like you can't find a bad meal there, I don't think.
I agree.
So had amazing pasta. Obviously, the first night we had this. Danielle had this carbonara that was just unbelievable. Like the best pasta I've ever had in my life. And
nice.
Just kind of chilled and like walked around and got to see everything. So that was a great start to the trip, right? Because Florence I really enjoyed it. It's my first time there. My wife asked me while we were there, she's like, what do you like, Rome or Florence better? And I was like, asked me in a couple of days because like I actually really enjoyed Rome when I was there. I thought I was not going to like Rome.
Sure.
But Rome has a lot of history and it's this humongous city, obviously, right? So
things you want to see,
right? Has the Colosseum, which is an awesome trip. So I was just like, ask me in a couple of days, and then a few days later, I was like, Florence is so much better than Rome because it's just everything, like almost everything about it is just better. Because like Rome is kind of dirty, right? It's like New York City.
Well, that's what I was saying. To me, it was like Rome is to Italy, like New York is to this, like to New York to the U.S. You could go here and be like, wow, this is amazing, but it doesn't really represent the country. Not that the U.S. is so big, one place obviously can't represent the country, but New York is drastically different from if you just go into the suburbs of New Jersey a little bit. It's a completely different space.
I
found Florence really charming and totally
I don't
romantic.
know what city Florence would be comparative to, but it's like night and day, honestly, the difference between Florence and a city like Rome and Italy. So thought that was a really great.
Is Rome Rome is because it's so touristy? Is that why it's dirty?
That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, it's a ton of tourists. So it's kind of nice that we ended up staying in Rome one day at the end of our trip. which was not initially planned. We decided to, because we were going to travel for like almost 24 hours on Saturday, because we had a layover in Rome for a little bit, because we were flying from Palermo to Rome, and then Rome to DC, and then DC, and it was just like, it was kind of ridiculous. So we would have been flying for like 24 hours almost, or in the airport, in airports for 20. So we just decided, we were like, why don't we just wait and get a direct flight from Rome to Newark the next day and just like spend the day in Rome. So when we ended our trip in Rome, and that was also another point where I was like, God, Florence is so much better. It's just literally everything about it. I mean, I think the fact that you could walk almost the whole city, and just,
that's big.
You don't need to drive. You don't need to get a cab really anywhere, unless you're going to like Tuscany to like wine country. But if you're in
the food in Rome is good, but it's just very distinct. Like all the cities I found, they all have more distinct foods, where like Florence is more, it's not like Italian American, which is, I think, you'd get closer to in the southern part of the country. But the pasta in Rome is the cacio e pepe, which is a cheese with like some pepper on it, and it's very kind of a light, and so the food is distinctly different. It's not what we would, what Americans go expecting to be Italian food, right? When you say that's true,
I would agree, because even in Rome, a lot of the stuff they have, if you go to restaurants, will be like traditional Roman style. Like they even like say that in the menus, and even they have Roman style pizza, which is a little different than some of the other regions. But you're right, Dante. A lot of the regions have very distinct food, and I think to your point, as you go more south, that's what you see, like in the New Jersey, New York, Italian American areas.
What are the portions like where you were, Dave?
I'd say probably normal.
For me, like what struck me is it's so distinctly different from how we think, like Italian American. It's just they're two different. They're very different branches of an old tree anymore.
And it's just interesting how it changed, right? Because I mean, the people that created the food, the Italian American food, are from Italy. I guess it's just that there's consumers who want different things, and over time they just evolved to that.
I think it's regional as well. So I think, and now you were in Naples last time you went. I think if you go into Naples, you're going to get a little bit more red sauces, more tomato-based things, and I think the southern part of the country is generally going to be more like tomato-based sauces, and maybe things like meatballs and sausage and things, but not tomato and meatballs the way we do here. So I think I envision that what they took was traditions from the old country. So maybe where before they might make some kind of a eggplant, and then you come to the United States and you do fried eggplant, but then you also go, oh, we got chicken all over the place. Why not fry chicken and see if that would, and then now you got chicken Parmesan, and it's like, this is probably not an Italian tradition, but they apply the Italian cooking approach to a lot more readily available food. So then you start getting like, meat, all sorts of meats and things mixed together with the pasta, with the, and then I think that the American abundance fed to like the huge portions, whereas over there, my experience is everything is much more reasonable in terms of sizes. And Dave, would you say?
I agree. And it's funny you bring up chicken, because I didn't eat chicken at all when we were in Italy. Like, in Florence, I mean, the one thing they're really known for is the Florentine steak. So we, one night we went to a very popular restaurant to get a Florentine steak, and it was great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's like I don't even know how exactly to describe it, but it's like just their region, how they prepare a steak, and it's like all the restaurants sell their version of it, and they advertise it. I didn't see how much different it was from like going to a steakhouse here. It seemed sort of similar. But it's kind of like their thing, the Florentine steak. So in Florence, it was a lot more, I'd say, land meats, but not chicken. So veal, steak, beef, lamb. Yeah, I had lamb one day when I was there. Yeah, some fish, obviously, but I mean, it's not like a hot spot for seafood, really, I would say.
I'm not surprised there wasn't a lot of chicken. My father-in-law was from the Amalfi Coast, and the last thing he'd ever eat was chicken. He actually became a butcher when he came to the United States, and he just skeeved, skivos chicken. And the same with a lot of his cohorts who were butchers. So I think like they had chickens on the farms, but they used them more for eggs than they did to eat them.
Yeah, that probably makes sense.
Dave, I'm curious, when you got to Sicily, was that all seafood? Like, was it almost entirely seafood?
So the next leg of the trip after Florence, we went to Sicily, and that's where we spent the majority of the trip. I actually rented a car and drove in Sicily, which is interesting. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because it's not like driving in, say, Rome or Milan or something like that, where it's like a big metropolitan area. Highways are pretty straightforward. Dante, you would appreciate this. Everyone stays to the right. Like it's amazing. It's like the left lane, you'll see people pass, and the second they pass, they're right over to the right.
I know. I told you I drove from Florence to the West Coast when we were there.
I forgot that, but yeah, no.
And it's I was like, this is glorious. They all know how to drive.
It's pretty remarkable. But one thing I did love about the highways was that the speed limits are insane. Like they're so slow. It's like, and then they change sporadic. So there are no cops that sit there and like pull you over. But what I keep hearing is that they will send you tickets in the mail. Like you will be, 6 months down the road and you'll get a bunch of tickets from Italy in the mail. So I'm like, I'm kind of like expecting that. Now, I wasn't really speeding. Like I was being very careful, but there would be times where it would be like 130 kilometers is the speed limit. So I'm like, all right, going. And out of nowhere, it's like 60 kilometers. And then there's like a sign that's like, this is being, monitored by cameras or what. You're like, all right, like how am I supposed to get down to 60 in that time? And then you're like, shoot, there's no rhyme or reason either. It's just like dead straight. And like out of nowhere, just like 60 kilometers an hour. And the 60 kilometers an hour is like 35 miles per hour, something like that.
I guess.
So on a freeway, on a two-lane freeway, you're like, all right, I guess I'm supposed to be driving like 40 miles an hour, like because you don't even know what they consider speeding, really. So we went to the first part we flew into Palermo, which is one of the bigger cities in Sicily. That's on the west side of Sicily. Drove to a town called Cefalù, which is kind of like north central, right on the water. So there are beaches there and stuff like that. We stayed in a kind of like a resorty hotel. We were, right on the ocean. They had some beaches, but it was kind of like rock beaches, which is kind of what you see a lot of in Italy. But we eventually got to some sand beaches, which I'll get to because I was towards the end. So we spent a couple days there. Very nice place, but again, but the food was almost all seafood, but like great, like really good seafood. Big with tuna down in Sicily. That's a big one. They have a whole tuna industry kind of down in Sicily, and they had like this big old tuna warehouse. That was what this town was known for, basically. We're having things like tuna carpaccio, which was really good. That was the first time that was probably one of the best things I ate down there. Just, they had this one dish that was like a tuna with kind of just like covered in like red onions. So it's got like this sweet sort of red onion taste. It's like red onion sugar and something else. And it's just like, a regularly cooked tuna, but you're eating it and you're like, this is amazing. Like everything's so fresh. And so like our meals in Sicily were basically like pasta, fish, seafood pasta, calamari, all stuff like that. And honestly, I didn't even get sick of it.
What are you paying for those meals translated to American dollars?
So it depends, right? So the one thing that I like a lot about the restaurants in Europe, Italy, wherever, is that they don't expect a tip. That's not part of their culture. Like in the United States, it's like 20% has basically become like the minimum tip that you feel like you can give. Otherwise, you feel like you're being cheap. And they don't expect it, but now the service is different. They leave you alone and they're not really working for tips. So they don't really, and some of them will, if they know you're an American, they'll kind of, if you're paying with a card, they'll kind of indicate like, oh, you can leave a tip. But some of them are just like, they don't even ask. They'll just like kind of just be like, no tip, like just pay the bill. But they charge for other things. Like they charge a cover for each person. So there's like, you might be spending like 3-4 euros per person as a quote unquote cover, right? So that's almost like where they get you, I guess, with a tip. They charge you, you get water, right? Even if you're getting still water, which is, that's all we were drinking. We weren't doing anything.
It's always
from a bottle. So they're charging you for that, and that's it's 4 or 5 euro potentially, and €5 right now is about $6 roughly.
It's a little more.
Yeah, it could be even more than that, right? So, So, they ding you a little bit on that stuff. Some places are actually, they'll charge you for the bread, which again is like, these are the things that you don't really think about because a lot of these things are sort of included in your meal if you're eating in the States.
Yeah. You're thinking unlimited bread.
Right. So, it depends. Like, so we were pretty good because we would say like, we would order a pasta, but we'd split it. And that's like, it's plenty, honestly. You split it and then you get an entree. So like if you can keep it relatively cheap. It's a little tough to kind of understand just because they're paying in a different currency. But, I think it kind of equates to the same roughly,
I think you could probably make certain things. You could get a deal on certain things. So for example, you could probably go into a supermarket and get a bottle of wine for like less than $5.
That's,
You bring it into the
that's probably
restaurant.
true.
€3.50. Yeah, and you're probably paying about $5 for that out of pocket, and like that's readily available. But I thought the same thing. Everywhere we went, ultimately, I was like, I'm paying, if anything, maybe a little more, than what I would pay in the States. I mean, quality of the food was good, but one place we went in Florence, and it wasn't like a Florentine steakhouse or something, but I got a steak. I found myself getting steak a lot of places because it's hard to get protein in these countries, man. They really don't. This like meat is not everywhere like it is in the US, and when you're not making it yourself, it's like, okay, every meal you buy, you're dependent on what they give you. And I order up, biggest steak they have is like a 10-ounce steak. I'm like, all right, I mean, great, but am I going to have to order 2 of them, because I'm paying, $25 for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're paying at least $25 for the steak, not, maybe more than that. Like you said, it could be 40. And I found generally in Europe, protein is just hard to come by, man. Like, unless you're going to the store, you go to these restaurants, it's just hard to come by. It's just not. And they don't give you a lot. I'm starting to see that here in the States too. It's just like you're getting less and less protein in every meal. It's like the only place I go out to eat anymore is for steak, because otherwise, I'm like, is there any frigging meat in this thing?
Well, what's interesting too is that on top of that, you order something like a steak. And you see this here at say a steakhouse, but most of the entrees come with sides. Everything you order, you have to order a side if you want a side. So like every restaurant is like that. So, and it's interesting is there's not a ton of sides to choose from, right? I mean, there's some of them will have like a roasted potato, but there's not like a ton of vegetables, surprisingly, that you can choose from. Now, when we were in Sicily, we were eating a lot of caponata, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with caponata, but it's an eggplant side. It's basically like eggplant, tomatoes, olives. It's like an eggplant salad.
Okay. So like, if I'll just be honest, I hate eggplant. Like, I don't get it with eggplant. Eggplant makes no sense to me. The texture is horrible as far as I'm concerned. And I know people love eggplant, so fine. But if I went to a place and every time I turned around they were serving me eggplant, I would start getting angry. You know what I mean? Like,
it's everywhere in Sicily. It was literally everywhere.
Oh
yeah, I mean, honestly, but Sicily was really beautiful though, because like we actually went for a wedding. So after we were in Chipotle, we went to Taormina, which is a very popular spot now. That was the most touristy place that we were at. I don't know if either of you have ever watched The White Lotus on HBO or heard of The White Lotus.
Yeah, that's where that takes place.
The second season took place in Taormina, so it's become very popular. And the wedding we were at was a beautiful wedding. It was beautiful, like kind of garden, like estate villa type of place. Big wedding, actually. They had over 100 people there, because both of them were Italian with family in Sicily, right? So, or family ties in Sicily, I should say. So, they had a pool at this place, and everyone jumped in the pool at the end of the night, which was actually kind of hilarious.
Fantastic.
I almost got seriously hurt jumping into this pool because I jumped in and then a bunch of like the guys jumped in like right after, and the groom's brother was like doing a backflip. He landed on top of me, and like, I actually got very lucky that I didn't get hurt. Someone else landed on top of me too, but it was like, I don't know. Like I said, I got very lucky.
But if you had drowned though, that's kind of the way to go out, I guess.
What was crazy is like the groom got all of his groomsmen and the guys to jump in, right? Because like everyone was drinking and everything. But then even the bridal party, the like Danielle and all the bridesmaids jumped in the pool in their dresses and everything. Like it was it was a pretty wild party, honestly. It was a good time. So once we were in Taormina, then we went back to like the southwest side. So basically drove from one end of Sicily all the way to the other to a place called Castellammare. That was actually my favorite part. They had sandy beaches, kind of more low key, not as touristy. Prices on food were much cheaper. Like we went there and we actually had a couple of meals where I was like, damn, I can't believe we only spent this much.
Was that like off the beaten path from most tourists?
I'd say yes, although I think if you talk to some of the people in Sicily, they say that's a town that's kind of up and coming. So maybe in a couple of years, it might not be as, it's almost like a hidden gem, I'd say, but very beautiful. Mountains similar to Greece. Like there was definitely like a Greece vibe there, because like you're driving in and there's just like these huge mountains, but then there's just like beaches and you're on the water, but it was sandy beaches, which I definitely prefer. So I really enjoyed that part. We spent about 4 days there too. So that was a really nice end to the trip.
See, I'm very excited to go to Sicily. I can't wait to go, but at the same time, I know that I'm gonna have to separate something because I'm not a big seafood eater.
Oh gosh.
And so I just know I'm gonna have to just separate and just eat it and just like like lean into the fact that it's so fresh and just eat everything, because if I go there and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat steak everywhere I go, like it's just not even an option. I'm gonna guess
I don't even think they really had steak. I think I think one night I had veal, I want to say, when I was there. You could maybe get some lamb. I feel like at the wedding they had lamb, but that was definitely not the.
Yeah, it's not a thing like it is here.
Yeah,
you can't get a ribeye in any restaurant.
Definitely not. I think you'd be hard pressed, especially in Sicily, to find, because that's the other thing about Italy. The food's great. Don't get me wrong. There's very little diversity with the food. It's not like you're gonna, like, I want Indian tonight, or I want. It's like, no, you're not getting it. It's
you're having Italian.
You're having Italian. Everything is a ristorante, or trattoria. I can think of the word.
Yeah,
it's like everything is or a pizzeria. That's like basically what they have.
Pizzeria. Well, they have at least in Florence. I remember they also had what they call the osteria, which is it's actually more like a wine place, and they might have like little bites for you.
Yeah,
a trattoria is more like a grill, like a barn grill style place where you're going to get it. And then a restaurant is you're going to pay top dollar for it.
And then pizzerias,
which is great. But you're right, Dave. There's it's not like you're there after a couple of weeks. You're like, I would love to sort of switch it up. Maybe we'll go to it's funny now. This is a whole conversation we could have, because in the United States, it's like American at this point is what, like barbecue,
I guess. Yeah. Burgers.
Right. But most of what we eat is
go anywhere.
Ethnic food of some kind, you know, and it's of course Americanized, but it's hints of all these different styles, which is actually really awesome if you think about it.
Yeah, that is, and I think in the area that we live, I think we're lucky that we have a lot of that, or you can get a lot of that.
Tons.
Where I live, it's like Thai, Indian, Italian, Mexican, like they're all like you just
and they're
they're
all
pretty good. Yeah. We came back, and that was kind of like the one on Monday after we came back. We were like, let's go to Chipotle, and then like there's also a burger place right now. It's like, let's get one Chipotle meal, and then also let's get a burger too, just to change it up a little bit.
Welcome home.
And it was Labor Day, so it was like, I felt like a burger was. I felt like we should be eating a burger.
Re-Americanized.